Great.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me, and thank you for such an interesting event. I've learned so much already this morning, and it's great to be here. And it's a real privilege to be able to present on behalf of the HereWear Project to look at social and circular bio-fashion and what we're doing. So let's just go straight into it. So from a fashion and textile perspective, there's so much that needs to change if we're to meet climate targets and really sort of shift away from mass production models and exporting and importing great distances. Bringing clothing and textiles together across continents has a huge impact on the environment. And so the HereWear Project is all about creating these regional, localized loops where we're aiming to make clothing from bio-based waste, so from agricultural waste like manure and seaweed, making these fibers and then creating clothes that stay in circulation and use for a long time, moving between different consumers and users before eventually being recycled then in a local context. So the vision is very much about these local, regional, bio-based economies. And the big part of that is how consumers will take part in this and enjoy fashion in radical new ways. And it's really important that we do look at fashion in a completely different way. It's not possible for us to continue to buy and use and consume clothes in the way that we have been. And if we're to look at the way in which the planet has been exploited in order to meet our vociferous needs for new clothes and new looks, we can see that we've got to change the systems, the linear, optimized, super fast systems, in order to stay within the kind of limits and that has been recommended. And for that, we also need new economic models, new socio-economic models. And so this is really where open innovation and social innovation, meeting design and new materials within a circular economy context could be really a really viable solution for us. So first of all, let's have a look at the materials, because these are at the moment, global production of fashion and textiles, the fiber group is 89% of all global fibers are either cotton or synthetics from oil-based resources, and both have a really heavy footprint. So making clothes, making fashion textiles from our waste streams is a really important area of development within the EU and much more broadly, of course. But how we use these materials is also really important, because we can't go to the effort of making these materials, developing these new circular systems and loops in order for us to just have fashion and use fashion in the way that we are now, which is rapid and fast and wasteful. So what we're trying to do is work with, from the consumer's point of view, with clothing concepts that will offer a greater lifespan and more diversity in terms of how they can be worn and then repaired and reworn and recirculated before they finally get recycled. So one of the partners in the project that we're working with, Maybean, are running an organization which brings people together to work with clothes to recirculate them. So firstly, through their setup, which involves a workshop and a cafe space and a gallery space and a garden, people come together and make opportunities to exchange and to swap and to rotate wardrobes, as well as learn how to repair and learn how to remake and alter clothes. Maybe also sourcing waste from factories and ensuring that the surplus of materials that are produced in factory production, so pre-consumer, are used in social innovation projects as well. So really feeding these material waste streams through into new opportunities for young people and entrepreneurs to establish new ways of having clothes. And so it's more than just teaching people about repair and the reuse and the good use of their wardrobes. It's also about looking at open innovation using technology. So working with partners Circular Fashion in Berlin, tagging and digital labeling enables the flow of goods more fully. So it's essential that the information in the materials is passed on through the supply chain. And at the moment, there are blockages and problems. People cut off the label, and the label is the only place really where the information is held that recyclers and future cyclers need to get that information from. So we need to sort of bring this kind of hands-on remaking and reusing of clothes together with new technologies to really enable people to sort of interact and flow the clothes sort of in the right ways. For example, if you take a denim jacket and you want to upcycle it and give it a new look, and then you cover it with a foil or a plastic sequin, you've actually interrupted the viability of that product. You've stopped it being able to be recycled later on. So we need to have this way of sharing the rules and the good habits, and technology is really helping us there. But also in terms of overproduction. So a great amount of waste is coming from producers just making too much stuff. It's cheaper to make stuff at the beginning of the process and then bear the cost of the waste than to go back and reorder and set up production again. So we have this really big overproduction problem. So one way that open innovation is helping with fashion is through crowdsourcing, really putting into production only the number of units that demand has showed is there. So by using crowdsourcing technologies, we're optimizing the way in which clothing goes into production, the volume at which clothing goes into production. So what does all this mean? This means that designers are really thinking differently about their practices. It's so much more about facilitating change and decision-making by others, using their creative skills, using their communication skills to join up the dots and to share the interactions between clothes and materials, and to give people, really to aim to give people more joy and more value from their wardrobes. So this is my last slide, and just to sort of conclude with a look at the future. In the pandemic, we've all experienced clothing and shopping in a very different way. We've had to sort of stop going to the high street, and we've had to stay at home and look back through our wardrobes. And that's given us a moment to pause and to think about how we can have clothes in different ways, what the models are that we can innovate with. And whether that's having more flexible, interactive wardrobes, even within our households, within our shared houses, within our streets, within our neighborhoods, with local charity shops. These flows are all around us, and they're a ground up movement, a radical movement just waiting to really happen. I think we've begun to understand that the future will give us fashion in different ways. We don't have to buy quick and cheap from the high street, that the value for us financially, creatively, and socially will be in how we keep garments moving and circulating between us and meeting these changing needs in a time of economic and environmental pressures. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you'll follow the HereWear project as it develops. We just started last October, and it's a 4-year project. Thank you.